What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. I'm having a little bit of a tidy up and we's going to have a little bit of a catch up as to what's going on because we haven't done one on the giveaway recently. Just, you know, stuff has been getting in the way basically, again. You know, it's probably, I said I'll be doing an update every week, I'll need to stick to my word basically. So, I've not been in here much this week at all. Because, you know, Van has got all Rita Hayworth again. It's swooning and falling over and all sorts of stuff. I did have this problem where there was I plugged a code reader thing in it and it said the mass airflow sensor was at fault. So I replaced that, but the problem I was hoping that was going to fix was that you turn the engine on and it would fire up and it would run, it'd all sound lovely, and then like 15 seconds later it would just stop. And then you'd have to crank it and crank it and crank it sort of 10 or 12 times. And then it would fire up and it would go, and that's all that, you know, that's the problem that I thought the MAF sensor was going to be fixing. It didn't. It carried on doing exactly the same thing, and now it's taking longer and longer and longer to get the thing to actually fire up and get going. So I plugged that code reader thing in and it's now saying, is it 2294, 2295? I don't know, something. Fuel pressure regulator 2 performance, which is obviously the sensor. But yeah, that's buggered. So I've got, a week ago I ordered another one and it's still bloody in here. It's supposed to be down on Monday, but because of all the postal strikes and everything, it's weird. I can get some stuff that turns up in 2 days. Other stuff that comes by Royal Mail just takes ages. But this was supposed to have arrived last Monday. It's coming on this coming Monday. But it's throwing up an error. It's a definite problem with it. I've not been in and metered it just because it's buried. I've got to take loads of stuff off to actually get to it. But it's throwing up with an error, so I know it's buggered anyway. I've got to swap it out. So that's coming down. But that's meant I've not been using the van that much because you have to crank it over more and more and more to get the bloody thing to go. So I've just been using the van, a couple of trips out, just to get some, because I had a couple of orders come in, and then going to and from my work. But that's it, so I've really not had a chance to get that much done. So today is Saturday, so the plan is I'm gonna have a little bit of a sprint up because I've still got stuff everywhere. That'll only take a few minutes, and then I'm gonna have a go at the van, pull everything off that I need to get off to be able to get down to that flaming sensor. If I can meter it and check it and just confirm it is, which I know it is anyway, but it's nice just to confirm stuff, then, you know, it's all good and ready. So if the sensor turns up early doors on the Monday, I can just fit everything back on the van with the new sensor, see that it's all fixed and working and it's all peachy now, and then I can go off to my work. If it turns up late on Monday, then that's going to have to happen on Tuesday. So I just want to get the van ready so it's like least amount of work on Monday to get the thing done. But there you go. So there's that. And it's also been like sub-zero down here. And that's when the heater knob decided to not work either. So I got this from a scrappy. It looks nasty, but you know, it's going to do the do. I don't really care. But yeah, the heater knob, it was like position, well, you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and last week like 1 and 2 stopped working, and then 3 stopped working, and now all of them stopped working. It's obviously this switch. It does all come apart here, but all the contacts and gubbins is just held captive. So as soon as you undo it, you know that they're going to go everywhere. So it's cheap as chips. I just got another one. That'll be fine. Change the switch out. We should be good. So anyway, bike. What's happening with the bike? Right, bike. We have had a couple more people jump in. Part of the reason for doing these updates is just to confirm with people that, you know, their name is in the hat. So if you see your name popping up, I can't remember which side it is. I think it's that side. I'm sure it's that side. But up in the corner, there's loads of names popping up. These are everybody that's chipped in to, you know, help support the build and whatnot. And one of them is going to win it. So if you've recently chipped in as well, your name will be coming up on the end of that lot, which is cool. But it's just the easiest way for me to confirm you know, whose name is in the hat and all that sort of stuff. There's only a couple of the extras that's joined, so the budget hasn't really changed or anything else. But I just want to make sure that people know that their name is in the hat. So that's all good. Plans for the bike is basically as they was. I'm definitely going with the Pirelli tyres. I'm not going to order them until we get to the point of, you know, getting the rims all repowder coated and whatnot. But part of the reason for wanting to clear all this lot down and just, you know, get all the crap off and put some cardboard all tacked down is the carbs are coming off, I'm hoping later today as well, and we're going to fit that Dynajet kit. So that's going to be the next video. There's been loads of people sending me messages about it. Oh, does it work? How does it go? What do you do to fit it and all that sort of stuff? I don't know, I haven't done it yet. So the carbs are coming off, we'll get the kit out, we'll go through the instructions and we'll get it all fitted and get it back on the bike, and that's just going to be its own little video basically. That's going to be the next one, because then I can, you know, I can run, you know, I can install the quick action throttle, I can get all the clutch hooked up, you know, blah de blah de blah. We get the oil cooler, nasty as it is, it will do for now because it all ran quite happily. It just looks a bit ropey. Oil cooler will go on, we'll start filling it full of fluids and all that sort of stuff, and then we can start looking into the wiring and getting all that lot ready for the dyno. So, you know, there really, as far as running gear goes and what's needed to stick it on the dyno, there really ain't that much. I mean, like, there really ain't that much. Speedo will have to go on just so we've got the indicator lights and all that sort of stuff. And a tacho, and make sure that's all good and peachy, and, you know, chain and stuff like that. But there really isn't that much needed to get it going on a dyno, and we can see what sort of power it makes. If we stick it on a dyno at this time of year where it's nice cold air, well, that should be all right, shouldn't it? But yeah, so that's the plan. We just get these few little van bits done, and then the carbs are coming off, all getting sorted. They're going back on, pod filters, throttle, cables, blah de blah de blah. And that's going to be quite a big jump to get into where we need to be. So like I say, that's the plan. I've had a few ideas about the surround for the fuel filler cap. We've got that Monza style one that we're going to be using, you know, which is quite cool. I do quite like it, but I want this to be removable. So if people don't like the Monza one because it hasn't got a key to it, they can just stick that one back on. I'll just give that one to whoever gets the bike as well, and then they can just decide. It's the easiest way to do it, isn't it, really? Right, so the other thing with carbs, and a couple of other little bits and pieces as well, I would imagine, I would think, they're a bit grubby and dull. I mean, it was all cleaned, it's gone through the ultrasonic, but when it comes out, it's not really bright. It's not like if you look at the exhaust, that's all nice and bright and shiny and blah. Carbs, is, you know, they're clean, they're not oily or anything else, it's just they're dull. It's like a dingy grey. And I don't want that. I want it all nice and bright. So they all need to get cleaned up. Well, I've got a few different options there. I've got auto salt and a toothbrush and a rag, but there's so many little nadgery bits, you're never going to get in there and get everything done. I was flipping back through Craig's videos from Doghouse Customs, because the finish that he gets on an awful lot of his stuff is absolutely lovely. And I can remember him coming up with a trick that he uses, and it's that rub and buff stuff. And I actually got some. I've got some in the top of the tool chest. So I could go that route. However, there's a few other bits and pieces that I want to leave like an alley finish, but I want them all to look sort of equally bright, if that makes sense, which is probably the worst way of explaining it. But I don't want some bits polished, some bits brushed, some bits just dull like the carbs are. I want it all to be sort of, you know, reasonably even, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So, looking at vapor blasting. Now, for vapor blast, there is a firm local. It's called Plymouth Vapor Blasters. It's not, it's JC Motorcycles. They just went and bought themselves a vapor blaster. And they do it. However, I think it's like 30 quid a carb, or 25 quid a carb, or something like that. Well, there's four there, that's 100 plus quid, depending on, you know, is it 25 or 30 or whatever. That's quite a lot of money, really. And then if there's all these other bits and pieces, like the footrest hangers and levers and all that, you know, my little thing that I made for the rear brake, and like the clip-ons and the top yoke and, you know, all that sort of stuff. If I wanted to have all that not done, you're talking a small fortune. I might as well buy a bloody Vapor Blaster for that. But I don't need to, because I've got a shop blaster. And I've also already purchased, about 18 months ago, I just never got around to it, pretty much everything I need to turn it into a Vapor Blaster. So if you think just to do the carbs is going to be about 120 quid, all the bits to do the conversion cost me 184. So that's like, you know, the pump, the hose, the clips. I just bought a load of plumbing fittings to make my own gun. I've got a lathe, I can turn my own nozzle, and I'll probably do that out of D2 or something. I don't know, we'll figure that out. Literally all I need is a dustbin the right size to go underneath it for all the slurry mix to go into, and a connector for the top of the pump that I think it's an inch connector on that. Well, there's various different connectors. I think the smallest one is an inch, and then it will need to go down to, you know, line size and everything else, so there'll have to be a reducer in there as well. But that's pretty much all I need. I think I've already got everything else. So I could just make one for 180 quid. And it'll probably take me like a weekend, if that. That's with, you know, making it and setting it up and trying it and adjusting it and maybe machining out the nozzle a bit bigger and all that sort of stuff to get it to the point where it's a working good unit. There's a couple of videos that I've seen online and I'm basically just gonna copy it. I'm not coming up with a new idea. I'm just gonna take somebody else's idea that they stuck up on YouTube for other people, and I'm just going to do that, because he's got exactly the same cabinet, he's got exactly the same compressor, it's just that I've got two of them, and the pump I've got is 1,300 litres, no, 1,400, I can't remember, it's a lot, it's not a little pump, but yeah, we've got everything to do it. So if I set that up, then I could properly go to town on stuff. If it comes up, the way well, okay, media blasting, oh hello. Media blasting is just blasting air with grit in it at something that you want to get cleaned. But it's basically, it's taking the surface material off and cleaning it. And it leaves like a rough finish, basically, which is brilliant if you're going to paint stuff. Really, really good if you're going to paint stuff. And it kind of goes like a frosty sort of look to it because of all the, you know, the nicks where it's been hit with the media. With vapor blasting, it's different because you're essentially using glass, like ground up glass bead, but you're mixing it with water to make a slurry. So it's not a 50-50 mix. It's not far off, but you know, it's something like that. So the water actually cushions the media, you know, when it hits the material that you want to clean up. So it doesn't just strip material away. It literally just cleans the bejesus out of it. And you can get in all the little nooks and crannies and everything else that you get on a carb, and you're not taking material away at all. So I could go to town with that, like the yokes, definitely the carbs, the foot pegs, all that sort of stuff, depending on the sort of finish that I get. But the finishes that I've seen is it's like a satin sort of, there is a sheen to it. It's not like it's a polished piece of alley, but it's not like it's a brushed piece of alley either. It's kind of in the middle. It's like a nice, even sort of satin finish. It's got a bit of a sheen to it. It does look really good. So if I make that and get the finish that I want, we're going to be using that, and we will be using it quite a bit, I think. So things like, there's a couple of little bits on the fork legs, the you know, the polished bits on the forks. That all wants dressing out, but then I could finish it off and get that nice sheeny finish, like the yokes, the foot pegs and levers. Don't know about the swing arm, still undecided. You know, it's quite tidy and whatnot, but I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Definitely carbs, you know, there's quite a few bits and pieces that I just reckon it would look really, really good on, but they would all be even. It wouldn't be some bits polished and some bits brushed and some bits, you know, anodised, and some bits that it would be an even finish on everything, which I reckon could be really, really cool. Like, really cool. I've got some ideas on paint as well. Do I tell you about all that? Or is it too early for colours? I don't know. I don't know. Do I tell you? Well, actually, I could tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be purple, that's for sure. Oh, I hate that colour. This makes a bike look like a big bruise. Whoever did it probably thought, oh yeah, it looks like a Cadbury's Boost Yamaha. No, it don't. It's a Bandit. It's a horrible, horrible colour. So yeah, it's not going to be purple, and it's not going to be black either. And the frame's not going to be black either. I know what colour I'm doing the frame. There are going to be alley bits to it. I'm not going to tell you necessarily which bits. There are going to be tubes that come down here that mount the headlamp as well. So bottom yoke, top yoke, tubes and all that. I mean, they might be going one particular car. I don't really know. I haven't decided on that bit. However, engine, I'm totally undecided of. The rest of it, I'm picking. You don't get a choice in that one. I'm saying what the colours are going to be. I want this to turn out like the bike that I originally wanted to build. And one of the things that I could never decide on was what to do with the engine. So it is going to completely come apart. All the cases are coming apart. It's having new bearings and, you know, new gaskets and seals and blah, 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 which is all fine. And we'll order that lot when, you know, the engine is out and on the bench and in bits and we know what we need. However, as far as the colour of it that goes, yeah, that's the bit I'm undecided of. Now, a lot of people are going to go, polish the cases. Well, there's going to be nothing on here that's polished. The only dead polished shiny bit is going to be this bit. The stanchions on the forks. They are going to be polished up. However, the rest of it ain't. The exhaust I'm leaving as like a brushed finish because I do quite like it. It's nice and, you know, clean and, you know, it's not chrome, which I don't really do chrome. I'm not a big fan. That's going to be staying as it is, but as far as the engine goes, it's going to be done in engine enamel. So basically painted, and then we'll cure it in the oven, and it'll all be good and cushy. So I think polished cases, that ain't going to look so great. We could go the route of vapor blasting them, so clean them all off, get all this paint and everything else off, and vapor blast them so you get like that sheen, you know, like this sort of thing, but not polished. I mean, I suppose if somebody wants to desperately polish them afterwards, it'd be an easy 2-minute job, wouldn't it? But I'm not doing that. We could go with just like an aluminium colour paint. We could go a black engine, like all over as you see it now. We could do the black, where you then grind all this lot so you get the lines on it. However, the number of ribs on this and how long that would take would be a bloody nightmare. But we could do that. That could be fine. You know, there's all sorts of different options. The paint job is going to be plain and simple. It's not going to be like see, I used to do airbrushing, and I was tempted to get the airbrush stuff out and do something a bit funky, but I think it would. I don't think this is the bike to do it on. I think this bike just needs to look really simple, clean and plain looking. So that's what we're going with, and it is just going to be a plain paint job. It's not going to look like a tart's handbag on a Saturday night with all bling and glitz and flake and blur. I know what I'm doing. I know the colour. So you don't get to pick that one. So you don't get to pick that colour. You don't get to pick this colour, but you can have a say in what the engine is going to be doing. So either way, like if I have to do the lines thing on a black engine, that is a bit more work, takes a bit more time, but you know, could look quite good. Or we could just keep it real simple colours. You know, it's just so it's a plain looking thing, like the rest of the bike is going to be plain. So I don't know. If you do have an opinion on how the engine should be painted up, then, you know, stick a comment in and I'll go through and I'll have a look at them. I'm probably not going to go with the masses. If somebody comes up with a cool idea that I haven't thought of, that I think would look really, really cool, then I'm probably just going to go with that, if I'm honest. However, if everybody is going, no, do this, and it's one of the things that I would be quite happy to do from, you know, the options that I've had in the past, then I'll just go ahead and do that. But if somebody comes up with something cool, I will definitely look into it. I'll definitely consider doing something like that. So there you go, that's the immediate plan. Oh, it's gone cold again. Right. There is a little bit of fabrication to do. It ain't going to take long. So the under seat bit, you know, the under tray, I've got a plate in that front bit of the seat, and then where it goes up underneath the tank, because that's where the M unit and stuff is going to sit. I don't want it on show. I don't want loads of crap being chucked at it off the road and all that sort of stuff. So I just need to box all that bit in. Well, that ain't going to take very long. And then when we come to doing the wiring, which is not actually that far off, really, you're probably not really going to notice that much because it's all going to be hidden anyway. You're just not going to see it. All the wiring is going to be tucked up. I've got my head around how I think I'm going to be doing the looms. But the coils are all going to be hidden under the tank. The horn's going to be out the way. The M unit, the battery, all that stuff. You ain't going to see it. Well, I'm hoping you're not going to see it. It's just going to be things like the HT leads and like the cables coming down for the car. Yeah, that's the bits that you're going to see. But there isn't really any way around that. So anyway, that's where we're going. That's what we're doing. And that is the update for this week. Let me know what you think about the engine. The vapor blasting, I mean, I could just bite the bullet, take all the stuff down to this vapor blasting place and go, do that for me. Here's a lot of money. Or I could do the thing myself. I don't actually think it would take long to do the vapor blaster because I've already got the gear. It's just a case of putting it together, and I could do it in a weekend. And that would save money elsewhere. It could be spent on the bike. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm thinking. All the other stuff we basically got, really, that we need. But anyway, there you go. So that's the update. Thank you ever so much again to everybody who has been chipping in on this project. Your names are all appearing at the top. I know some of you have chipped in more than once. Your name will only appear up there the once, you know, just to confirm that you're in. However many times you put in, that's how many times you're going into the hat, absolutely. But one of you is going to win it. And now that all the exhaust and all that sort of stuff is done and it's all sort of coming together, I think you're going to be quite pleased. I think you will. But, you know, we just keep doing the best that we possibly can do and we'll see where we end up. So anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for this one because I need to crack on and get stuff done. So I can have a look at that Dynajet kit. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you're well and staying safe. We'll see you on the next one. Laters!